Oh boy.
Welcome back, rookies. I'm so glad that you are joining me for this video today. And if you're new here, my name is Rachel. I am a part-time reseller on Poshmark, Mercari, and now eBay. And today I am covering my first year of reselling. Let's get started. I'm gonna turn this little tracking off because that is just not necessary. Okay, so little backstory for those who don't know me. And I feel like I haven't really gone into too much detail, how I got started and who I am and all of that. So again, my name is Rachel. I am a mom to two teenage girls, 13 and 16, and I am married, been married for almost 24 years. And up until 2017, I was a stay-at-home mom who also homeschooled my girls. So in 2017, a lot of life changes happened, and we put our kids in public school. So my oldest was going into 6th grade and my youngest was going into 3rd grade. And I continued to stay at home to be available to them, being new in the public school world, wanted to be available for them anytime they needed me. I have loved being a stay-at-home mom, and up until 2020, I was quite happy in that role. 2020 happened, some life changes affected everyone. 2020 was kind of upended everyone's life, and mine was no exception. Nothing major, drastic, but enough to change some things in my life. My girls were older and didn't need me as much, and I felt that I was in the season of my life where I needed something that was mine and something to keep me busy during the day without committing to a full-time job. I wanted to still be available if and when my girls needed me. And so I started, I guess it was actually right, it was 2019, I started subbing at my girls' school, and that kind of kept me busy, gave me a little extra spending money, and I could kind of scope out the school and how it worked and their friends and their teachers and just the school environment, and allowed me to be kind of a part of their life. So I had been subbing from 2019 until 2021, end of 21 to beginning of 2022. And post-COVID, the school environment is challenging. It's difficult, and I realized that was not my passion, and I needed something that I was passionate about. And so I have a friend who is in the reselling business. She's been reselling for years, and it sounded like something very interesting, and I love Goodwill, always have loved Goodwill. And so at the beginning of 2022, that passion kind of sparked something in me to just branch out and try something new. My husband had given me $100, just throwing money at me because he loves me. And I took the $100 and I went to Goodwill. I went and found the best brands that I thought would sell well. Just backing up a little bit, I have been on Poshmark for many, many years. I had first started on Poshmark many years ago when my kids outgrew their clothes and I just needed to get rid of them, but I didn't want to just donate them all. So I listed them on Poshmark, made a pretty good amount of money, not even trying to make it a business. It was just trying to move some clothes. And so I had already had a pre-existing Poshmark account. And so getting started, it wasn't that difficult for me. So I took that $100, bought maybe $30 to $50 worth of clothes at Goodwill. And then I also, a couple of weeks later, made a trip to the Goodwill Bins, the Goodwill outlet, and bought a few things there as well. And I proceeded to start my reselling business. I obviously didn't know too much back then. I thought I knew brands. I did not know brands. Some of the things in the beginning that I thought were just so expensive and oh my goodness, I'm so excited to find those brands are like White House Black Market and Altered State, and some of those stores, those things retail for a lot. And so I picked up those brands thinking, oh, those will do great. No, those sat and sat and sat in my closet until finally I just gave them to Goodwill and I donated them. So that was a quick learning experience for me. So I started out on Poshmark in March of 2022, and then made a couple of sales in March. April, I think that's when I'd taken all of those. A lot of the first listings were stuff from my own personal closet, which is a great way to start out. If you are starting out and you want to do reselling as a side hustle, selling your own clothes is a great place to start, because there's no overhead for you. That's just money sitting around for you. So that was a lot of my closet in the beginning, was some of those nicer brands. Some of the things that I used to get thread up boxes just for myself, and then if I didn't like it or didn't fit, then I just listed those on Poshmark. And also from that initial Goodwill trip and the outlet trip, got listed in April. So it kind of just slowly worked my way into it, just trying to fill it out. And in May, I decided to start cross-listing to Mercari. And then I also signed up for Flip. Flip is a great free Chrome extension that will send offers to likers, will share your closet, that it sends bulk offers, it keeps analytics, lots of great things to help you at no cost to you. So if you're interested in signing up for Flip, click on the link down below in the comments or the description, and follow that link and you can get signed up. There are other options, paid options, Posher VA and Posher Sidekick and some of those others. I did use the Posher VA, a trial version back in the day. It was great. I just wasn't feeling like I was making enough to justify spending the $20-something a month. I may still do that at some point, but for right now, Flip is just serving my needs perfectly. So definitely recommend. So let's kind of get started with, how it looked at the beginning. So March is when I started. It was mid to late March when I guess I officially launched my store, and I made 2 sales, which, hey, the profit I made in the first month was $30 off 2 sales. So that I thought, hey, this might actually work. In April, I made 9 sales and I profited $207. So that just kept driving me to keep going. So then we get into May of 2022. Again, I sold 9 items and my profit was $145.53. I think about May, things started kind of dropping down just a little bit. So June was a big month for me. So I made 22 sales in June, and I believe that's probably with help using Flip and cross-listing to Mercari. So I made 22 sales in June with a profit of $431.90. So you bet by June I was sold on reselling 100%, and I haven't looked back since. So in July I made 27 sales with a profit of $529.08. So absolutely was looking great. August came, 28 sales with a profit of $514.92. And then, if y'all been following me in my other videos, September has been my best month to date. And I sold 48. It was amazing. We went from 28 sales to 48, to almost double what I had done previously. So I made a profit of $1,016.87 in September of 2022. And that was so exciting. And I've been trying to reach that goal ever since. The beginning of this, 2023 is looking pretty good. I feel confident that I will hit that $1,000 profit mark again. So in October, we stayed pretty consistent. I made 46 sales with a profit of $842.17. October was an interesting month. I had a lot of lowball offers in October. I don't know why. That was a really strange month. It was also the launch of live shows on Poshmark, and I think that caused a big drop in sales. Now I still sold almost the same quantity of items, but just the profit margins went way down. So I don't know if the lowball offers were a result of live shows where things were selling so low. I'm not really sure, but I think those factors definitely made a difference for sure. So November came around, I sold 47 items with a profit of $935.94. So I was so close to hitting that $1,000 mark. I ran a lot of sales in November with Black Friday. So still great. That was a great month. And then we ended the year in December with 41 sales, which is close to the previous months. However, I was very aggressive in sending very generous offers. So I dropped all the prices in my closet. I sent great like 30% off offers on all likes and several of the name your own price, things like that. So that drove my profits down somewhat, but I was happy still that December delivered as well as it did overall. So for the year, I sold 279 pieces, and I had actually listed 474 items throughout the year. So I sold more than half of what I listed. So that's a pretty good sell-through rate. I don't know what the average is. I would be really curious what the average sell-through rate is for most resellers. If you have or know that statistic, feel free to drop that in the comments below. I would love to know what the average sell-through rate is for most resellers. So total revenue, that's before my cost of goods. My revenue was $8,647.76. So man, I mean, for just starting this random business, hoping for the best, not expecting it to become a business. It was really just going to be something like a hobby for me that just earned me a little extra play money. Ended up just being a job that I adore, that I'm passionate about, that I've never enjoyed a job more than this. What does it say? If you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. And I feel like just reselling and getting to shop for a living, I mean, how do you consider that a job? Yes, the back end of the business can be tedious and time consuming. Just researching, doing comps, taking pictures, editing pictures, listing, sharing, offers. There's a lot that goes into reselling, but as a whole, I absolutely love it. This is what I was born to do. It is so fun. And 2022 is just the starting point of where I hope to take this business. So my revenue of being $8,647, my profit after cost of goods is $5,241.11. Breaking that down, that's not a whole lot per month, but if you really look at my sales, really, it was only about 7 months worth of decent enough sales to count, and specifically really the last 4 months of the year. So when you break it down like that, that's pretty dang good, and I'm pretty proud of myself. So let's talk about, we'll just kind of go into my year-end total. If you follow me on Instagram, I had this posted, so some of this may sound familiar to you. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at your.rookie.reseller. Again, my revenue was $8,647. After my cost was $5,241. I listed 474 items and sold 279. If an average sales price means anything to you, you're interested in that, my average sales price per item for the year was around $31. Ultimately, yeah, I wanted to do higher. If that is not a possibility, if you live in a small town like I do, and although my Goodwill is great, I have found some really high valued items there. I think bringing down my cost of goods would help a whole lot in that. And Goodwill their prices are going up. I could probably go on a whole tangent about Goodwill. I won't. Their prices are going up, and so my average cost of goods as a result is going way up. So I'm gonna have to probably either only source those, be very, very particular in sourcing only high valued items, or I'm gonna have to go to the bins, which, for some of you, that's like, y'all love it. It's not convenient for me. It's 45 minutes away, and traffic is a mess. So it's not my favorite, and it's dingy and unorganized and takes a lot longer. And it can get a little hairy at the outlet. It's a whole other experience. If you've never been to a Goodwill outlet, that what we call the bins, Goodwill outlets where excess inventory goes, things that didn't sell at Goodwill, or just an overabundance of donations will just end up at the Goodwill bins, where it is sold by weight, by pound, rather than per item. So you'll see some of the items in the bins will either have a Goodwill tag on them because they've been at a regular Goodwill, or there won't be tags, which means they just went straight to the outlet. And it is like a war zone. When they bring those bins out, everybody has to stand against the wall and wait until they say go. And when they call go, it all breaks loose. All hell breaks loose, and it's chaos. If you love chaos, then it's a thrill, and it could be a lot of fun. It just kind of depends. I've only been twice. I haven't had any bad experiences. The first time we went, I had brought my teenage girls. They thought they were going to throw some really cute, trendy, vintage pieces or something, and they realized quickly that that was just not their thing, and they didn't want to be there anymore. And there were some aggressive diggers, and so they have not wanted to go back. And I've been one another time, and I just zone out, and I don't even pay attention to anybody around me. So I think it's fun. It's interesting. It's not something I want to be at regularly. I just love my Goodwill because I can just take my time and dig through racks, and it's just easier to sort through. But as a result, my cost of goods goes a little bit higher because of that. So all that to say, let's go over the rest of our numbers for the year. So I will go over quickly some of my highest selling, highest profiting items from the year. If you follow me on Instagram, these are all there. But my first, well, you know what? Let's start with the low number first. The lowest one on this list has been like lowest highest. Does that make sense? My top 5 highest, I'll start at the bottom. So I had sold a pair of Tory Burch shoes for $90. Go back and watch some of my other videos if you haven't. My very first video I covered when I sourced these Tory Burch shoes, I found 5 pairs in one trip at my local Goodwill, which was like crazy. And I haven't had a haul or score quite that big since. So these were one of those. I sold them for $90. And I think they cost, I think they were charging me $2.99 that day, which was amazing. So I profited quite a bit off of that. So it sold for $90. That wasn't my profit after fees and my cost, but it was a still very high profited item there because my cost was so low. The next highest thing that I sold, same price, was the Rebecca Minkoff purse. And that one was like brand new looking. I don't even think I realized at the time what a grail that was, finding that new Rebecca Minkoff purse. It's like the epitome of Rebecca Minkoff purses, with the chain, crossbody strap, and the quilted purse. So nice. I sold it for $90. And I believe my Goodwill, they charged me like a bin price for that, and it was like $3.99 or something like that. So again, very low cost of goods. The next highest thing that I sold was a 2-piece Zara polka dot linen blend set, and that sold for $120. Zara is a fun brand. I love finding Zara. I find it often. It sells well for me, and there's some pieces that just go for a lot, and this one was just really unexpected. Obviously I checked comps when I was at Goodwill. They came together on a hanger, which is rare anyways. And when I checked comps, I was like, absolutely picking this up. And it sold very quickly. It sold for $120 for the 2-piece set. So amazing. The next highest thing that I sold last year in 2022 was a pair of Fry leather boots. Oh man, they were so beautiful and in beautiful condition. And I think I paid $8.99 for them. And I sold them for $130. So that was a great sell, and they sold very quickly. Leather boots in good condition are just chef's kiss. Absolutely one of the best things to find and to resell. So with that saying, in that same topic there that my highest selling, highest profiting item was a pair of, I still don't know how to say it. I was calling it bootleg, but I saw another person on YouTube that called them bullet. I don't know if either one of us know for sure. Either way, I call them bootleg. They could be bullet. Cowboy boots, and I sold them for $140. And again, those were probably between $7.99 and $8.99 at my Goodwill. So $140 is my highest selling item to date. So on the topic of brands, I won't go into, actually, I think I'm gonna do a separate video covering some of my best-selling brands. And that is very subjective. That is really dependent upon each reseller. Everybody has their own experience with different brands, but I feel like it's interesting to hear nonetheless. And so I do want to share just at least the 5 top selling brands for me in 2022, because I think that's interesting, and maybe those will be things that you can be looking at as well. Obviously, there are factors to each one of these brands, and a lot of times it's the style, if it's sought after, sometimes the size, is it current, things like that, that all affect a brand and reselling. So just because you see this brand doesn't mean, oh, pick it up every time, because that's not necessarily the case on any of these, in fact. So all that to say, we'll start with the lowest, but also the highest. Again, my top 5 performing brands, starting with Free People. Free People is funny because I had posted a video about my experience with Free People, and the first 6 months of reselling, I have found multiple Free People items that I had in my closet, 6 of them to be exact, and went 6 months without ever selling a single piece of Free People. And I thought, where's the hype coming from? You hear people talk about Free People all the time. I have not sold a single thing. I don't know what's going on, but it's not selling for me. And as soon as I posted that video, my Free People sales just like went crazy. So now that's one of my top performing brands. I don't know. We can't make sense of these things. So I made 7 Free People sales in 2022 with $228 for 7 sales of Free People items. So Free People now is one of my top selling brands. The next top selling brand in my closet, the next highest one, which will be no surprise to anyone, Lululemon. I sold 8 Lululemon items last year with a total of $240 worth of sales. Now Lululemon, I know, is cooling off, and I know Lululemon as a company is struggling somewhat. However, I would say there are some items worth picking up. Leggings, 100%, if they are a newer style. I do have a couple of older Lululemon leggings that are an older style. They're like a lower rise, they're cropped. Those things are gonna sit in your closet most likely. Will they sell? Possibly, especially at a decent price. But I would say full length to 7/8 leggings are ideal with being high-waisted. And if they're in good condition, pick those up and you'll do well. The other things that do well with Lululemon are jackets, specifically the scuba. Hoodies are really well, they're very much sought after still, I believe. I would leave the tank tops, those don't really move. I think I have a couple of tank tops in my closet now that are sitting. One I just recently got because it was cheap enough. The other one, it doesn't even get much excitement. So leggings, the hoodies, and then of course, if you are lucky enough to find a belt bag or any of their bags, I would say pick that up, especially in good shape. I think that is something people are still looking for. So those 3 items, and I'm sure there are others. These are just in my experience what's worth picking up. I think their hats would even probably do well. That's just a guess though. Don't take my word for it. The next best performing brand in my closet is Vionic. Vionic was something I heard on from other resellers pretty early on, so I was lucky enough to find Vionic at multiple locations, and they've always done really well in my closet. However, they do tend to sit a little longer than they used to initially, and they don't go for as much as they used to. I did find a pretty new like new. I mean, they didn't look like they'd ever been worn. Pair of Vionic crocodile patent leather strap sandals. And those didn't sit very long, and they went for, I think, around $35. So I think if your cost of goods is low, I wouldn't pay up for Vionic anymore. But if you find it for, if it's in good shape, less than $10, then I would recommend picking that up. The next highest performing brand, and I have already mentioned it, it is one of my favorite brands to find, is Zara. I made 11 sales. So let me back up. I made 8 sales in Vionic with sales, $265 worth of sales for Vionic. 8 items, or 8. So they're all shoes. So 8 pairs of shoes. That's awesome. I love selling shoes. That's a topic for another day. But anyways, back to it. Zara is one of my absolute favorite brands to source and sell. It doesn't go for extreme amounts unless it is a sought after piece. Like a lot of bloggers, blogger favorites, that will really drive up the cost of Zara pieces. But I made 11 sales, sold 11 Zara items for $336. So yeah, I love Zara. I'll keep picking it up. I find it often. So, and then my highest performing brand, which may come as a surprise to some of you, is Madewell. I made 11 Madewell sales, totaling $400. Most of what I sell is denim. I have sold a Madewell dress, and I have a few tops. Those tops just kind of sit. And I have a few others still sitting there. So Madewell denim is definitely the best type of clothing to source if you find it. There are some older Madewell that are low-rise skinnies. I wouldn't spend too much on those. If you find it at the bins, I mean, I think it's worth trying. I still sell the lower rise skinny jeans, believe it or not. But of course, the more up-to-date pieces do better. The higher waist, the skinnies still do well for me. But, like a straight leg or flare or, those type of things gonna do better for you overall. So to recap, Madewell, Zara, Vionic, Lululemon, and Free People are my best performing brands. And that may just be because that's what I find at my local Goodwill. That'll look different for everyone depending on where you're at and what brands that you're finding. All right, so as I mentioned before, I began reselling in March of 2022 with just Poshmark, and then I added in Mercari in May. By the end of the year, I made 247 sales on Poshmark and 32 sales on Mercari. Obviously, Poshmark is my best performing platform. I do cross list because I see the benefit, even if a platform is not performing as well as the other. That was 32 sales that I would not have had possibly otherwise. So going into 2023, I decided to go ahead, bite the bullet, and start listing on eBay. And so far, it's doing great. There's a lot of quirks with eBay that I'm trying to figure out and work through, but sales have started, and as of the second week of February, I have sold 13 items total between the 3 platforms. Actually, Mercari, no sales at all. But for basically, I started selling on eBay the end of January, 1st of February. Just for February, eBay makes up 50% of my profit. I have sold 8 things, now 9 things on Poshmark, and 4 things on eBay. So with those 4 sales, that is making up 50% of my profit. That's amazing. So I was nervous about eBay, and I'm still trying to figure out some of its just weird quirks. I'm going to keep focusing my energy as much as possible on eBay. 50% profit of selling half of what the other one is and still making up 50% of the profit. I'm thinking eBay is the way to go, especially with a lot of this Mercari stuff going on. It's so unpredictable, and I feel like even though eBay is just kind of like a little bit antiquated, it looks like it's consistent. So I'm excited to see what how eBay helps my business grow. So just to wrap up everything, my first year of reselling started out as just a hobby to give me something to do, to have a little extra spending money, has become still at this point a part-time business. It is hard as a stay-at-home mom to balance a at-home business along with children and house and husband, and I'm trying to figure out how to balance all of that. So I kind of spend my mornings working on reselling, and I usually source about once a week. Sometimes on a good week I'll go twice, but typically I go once a week. I usually grab about 20 items, which takes me about a week or so to get listed. Doing part-time, I'm probably averaging about listing 5 items a day. Takes a good amount of time. You wouldn't think so, but it does. And so, in the afternoons I spend cleaning my house, picking the girls up from school, making dinner, and then the evening's gone. So, just spending that with family and not focusing on my business. But part-time, it's a great part-time gig, and it's so much fun, and to be making money doing something that I'm just having fun doing is so great. And I feel so blessed that I get the opportunity to be able to do that, and taking that little $100 bill that my husband gave me to spend on myself, which I didn't. I mean, I kind of guess I did in the scheme of things. And I grew it into ended up being a $5,000 profiting business. So we took that $100 and turned it into $5,000. And for that, I'm very, very proud and very, very grateful. So what I'm going to be changing in 2023, that I already mentioned before, is trying to focus on sourcing more high-valued items rather than spending my time and energy on things that bring me a $10 profit. It's not easy in just shopping at a local Goodwill, small Texas town, finding those kind of things, but for the most part, I am able to find quite a bit, 20 so items a week that profit me, hopefully around $20 to $25 profit. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes I just choose wrongly. Moving forward in 2023, definitely want to start being smarter with what I'm sourcing, and to start spending more time at the bins, just so I can at least keep my cost of goods down. The other change I'm making in 2023 obviously was the addition of eBay, which is going to be just life-changing, I think, in this business, especially not, you ever heard that saying, you can't put all of your eggs in one basket. Mercari is just a platform that's just barely existing at this point. They're making some changes, and shipping and all that just gotten out of hand. Sales are just low, and so the best option for me was eBay, and so far so good. So that's a change I'm making in 2023. Those two are probably some of the most important changes that I'm making. Obviously, in the beginning, I wasn't very good at bookkeeping, and I had to kind of backtrack and take better records, or keep better records with my numbers. And so that's a change. Definitely starting in this year, really cracking down on. This is our first year to report that income. I don't know what all that involves yet. That'll be maybe something I can share in a later video once we learn what all that entails. But at least on my end, I want to make sure that I have all my numbers. So the other change I would like to make in 2023 is, right now, because my closet is so small, my reselling closet, it's stored in my master closet, and I would like to move it to the garage. I'm hoping to convince my husband that's a great idea. Our garage, we just have a 2-car garage. It's not very big, and we're going to be remodeling probably this year our house and cutting into the garage a bit. So the space is getting tighter, and I would like to expand and be able to grow my closet. It's just I've got limited space. So 2023, the change I'd like to make is expanding my reseller closet so that I can have a larger closet in general. So 200 item, I guess, I think is still a pretty small closet. I would like to definitely double that, would be great. And what I have learned as a reseller, number one is brands are not always worth their hype. the importance of research and checking comps, and not only comps, but also checking your sell-through rate. So what that means is if you're checking comps while you're shopping and you see a Reformation dress and it's basic, okay, and you look and everybody's got it listed for $150. I'm just throwing things out there. And there's 20 of them available. And you look and you check solds, how many have sold, and there's none. That means that that particular dress it's saturated. And if it's not selling, it's not worth picking up. So even though everybody's, prices are $150, which look great, if it's not selling, then it's not worth picking up. So that's what I'm saying when I say your sell-through rate. It's important to not only check comps, but that sell-through rate is important. If you're checking an item, let's say that there's a Zara dress that I picked up, color block, really cool looking. I checked comps. There were hardly any available. What was available was listed high. And I look and switch to the sold, and they are all sold, and those are all you can see what everybody has sold them for. That's a great thing to go to be on, to make sure that you're checking is solds versus availability. That really affects your sell-through rate. So that is something I've learned, that brands, even though they sound good, that doesn't always mean that they'll sell. Certain brands will do well if it's a certain size, like, larger size, say soft surroundings. This is a good one, a good example, because everyone that I've pretty much watched on YouTube has recommended soft surroundings as a brand to be on the lookout for. I have sourced many soft surroundings and I can't sell it. I just sit on it and I sit on it. A lot of people tell me that the larger sizes do better, whereas mine are probably on the smaller size. And that may be the reason why I just can't sell soft surroundings. So all of those factors are important. Don't just look at a brand and say, oh, that brand's a big deal, let's grab it and go. No, you need to make sure that, again, checking solds versus availability, current style, that's very important. Just learning brands is not enough. You need to learn the brands and what sells within that brand. A lot of people say Lulu's. Lulu's is not Lululemon, but Lulu's sells great for them, but only maxi dresses. So I have lots of Lulu's items that sit in my closet because none of them are maxi dresses. So Lulu's is a great brand, but only in typically the midi or maxi dresses. So things like that, research is what's going to really help you. Following along other resellers definitely has helped me grow as a reseller, learned a lot. But you can't take what everyone says, as the gospel truth. It just depends on different factors. So I think another factor is this is one of those things that you won't know until you've been doing it for a while, but based on what you're finding becomes your niche. So the niche can be anything like plus sizes or a certain core, like if you're just one who finds a lot of dresses, things like that becomes your niche. For me, I don't know that I have a specific niche, except for I feel like what mostly I find are smalls and mediums. So that's what sells well in my closet, whereas that might not do well for others. That's what I find. And so that's what has become my niche, because I think somehow that affects the algorithm. I don't know all of that detail behind the scenes. I don't know how that all works. I can just see how different people can sell mature brands and I can't. I've tried and they just sit. Mine just tend to be smaller sizes and more geared towards a younger audience. What suits others will not necessarily work for me. What brings good sales for other people doesn't necessarily do that for me. So again, it's whatever you're finding and you're consistent at finding those either brands or size or style, then that becomes your niche, because that's how that affects the algorithm. Whether that makes sense or I don't know. I'm just saying, take each thing with a grain of salt. Make sure that you're doing research. Work with what you have. If what you find in your Goodwill is mall brands or mature brands or plus sizes or petite sizes, try working in that realm and see how that affects your niche. Don't try to fit somebody else's business model. Like, I would love to sell, these very expensive Ulla Johnson and Reformation and, Veronica Beard. I don't find those brands ever. Johnny Was. I would love that. If I can't find that, I've got to work with what I've got. And for me, things that sell are Madewell and Zara. I guess you consider these mall brands, they do great for me. So find what works for you with what you have to work with and be consistent, and you'll see how your closet will evolve over time. I'm still learning just like you are. That's why I'm your rookie reseller. I'm a rookie and I'm learning every single day, every single week. I learn something new. And I think you just always have to be evolving. You always have to keep your eyes and your mind open for trends and things of that nature. I think some of the platforms are really good about or highlighting trends. Keep up with those. I think that definitely helps. Certain keywords and things like patterns or like styles and things like that. Keeping good books, doing your research. That wraps up the 2022 recap. I hope that some of this information helps you in your journey if this is your first year or you're considering getting into reselling. I hope it's helpful information. I hope that it excites you and gets you motivated, because, being in reselling, I've realized what an amazing community it is. How we all support each other is incredible. The encouragement that I've gotten from people that I don't even know or I've never personally met has made an amazing difference, and I'm so thankful. Instagram has quickly become my second family, and I've gotten to know so many resellers that are offering me helpful advice when I need it. And so I recommend, if you are stepping out into reselling, start an Instagram page if you don't have one, and you'll find quickly how helpful everyone is on in that community. They really are fantastic, and I'm so thankful that in this season of my life that I'm able to do something that I love with people who encourage me along the way. So thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, which will probably be within the next 2 to 3 weeks. I've got the brand. Someone had reached out and asked me to cover some of the brands that work for me, which I did a little bit of that today, and I may cover that in a further video, but I'll also do what sold in January. So stick around for that coming up in the next couple of weeks. Again, subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it so much if you haven't already. Like this video if you enjoyed today's content, and make sure to hit that bell notification so that you're notified when I do post a video. Thanks again for watching, and until the next time, bye.